Hey guys, it's Chrissy with Fast Tree Core, and I wanted to touch base with you a little bit and introduce/reintroduce myself. Like most small business owners, I've spent the last few months taking a lot of time to focus on building the business, kind of those basic foundations. Getting my financial statements in order, getting all of my legal documents set, my website, my social media, and of course, starting to really focus on working with my clients. And as a result, I realized that I didn't really take time to introduce what I was doing, and more importantly, why I chose to take this leap. Because I think a lot of people stay in jobs for a very long time that they are not super excited about. And the idea of taking that leap is very scary. And so I wanted to just talk about kind of where I was at in that moment. 4 years ago, or 5 months ago, geez, it feels like 4 years, yeah. 5 months ago, I was working at an organization that just didn't resonate with me anymore. I'd kind of sunk into this life that I had settled for, and I was ready to move on from it. The organization had great potential, but no desire to move forward. There was no kind of growth mindset of how the organization could make a larger impact, how they could do better. And instead of trying to find a way to get out of kind of this survival mode mentality, they opted to run the business based on what was the biggest issue of that day. So you walk in, this is the thing that is the most on fire. So there are a ton of things on fire, but that thing's the most on fire. So you got to handle that. Right? And so I spent almost 2 years putting out fires. And by the end of it, I was exhausted. I was burned out. And I realized that I wasn't moving anywhere. I was doing a lot of stuff, but I wasn't going anywhere. I was just existing in this kind of survival mode. And I think what kept me there is this idea that I kept telling myself, if you just get through this month, if you just get through the next 2 months, if you just get through the next quarter, suddenly on the other side of that time period, there's going to be, more time, more organization, a better plan. Maybe by then I'll be able to convince them that this is a good system to run. And what I realized is that, that month and that 2 months and that 3 months and that 2 years moved by me and nothing changed. It became this kind of game of professional whack-a-mole, right? Where one problem pops up, you squash it. Well, then another problem pops up and you never actually gain traction and start really moving forward to grow the business. And that mentality really held a lot of the organization back and really hurt a lot of opportunities that we could have taken advantage of. And I started to think that there had to be a better way to do this because there was a ton of other organizations, there was a ton of other businesses who were not living like this. And so what I realized was if we were the only ones living like this, there was other people who were doing it sufficiently and growing, then this way of living had to be a choice. There had to be something we were getting out of it, right? Like that feeling of busy, that glorification of busy. And I didn't want to live like that anymore. I realized that if it was 100% something we were creating, then it had to be 100% avoidable. And I knew that there had to be a better way, but I didn't know how to get out of that, right? When you're wearing a million hats and everything is coming in on you and everything is your responsibility, you start to think there's no way out of this. I just have to keep working. I have to work harder. I have to work longer hours. I have to, take more education classes. I have to take more time away from my family and friends. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to eat healthy. I just need to keep pushing through this because at some point this is going to end. And the thing is about that survival mode is it doesn't end. And so I ended up seeking out a coach of my own because I really needed somebody else to kind of show me a way out. And over the course of 4 months, I worked with her. And through that work, we did a lot of self-reflection, a lot of exploration. And she really helped me realize that I had a lot of potential that I was wasting in a space that didn't want to grow and didn't want to advance. And through that coaching, I recognized that not only was the organization choosing to live in that chaos, but I was opting into that chaos. I was saying, okay, sure, this is how you live. Okay, I will live like that too. And I recognized that if I could opt into it, I could also opt out of it. And so when I started to opt out and I started to see all these different ways that we could be doing things, better ways that we could be doing things, I started to kind of shift away, and I started to look at other businesses and realize that there are so many businesses, especially entrepreneurs and specifically female entrepreneurs, because women try to take on everything and we have this idea that everything has to be us, that live in this way, that live in this kind of survival mode. And it gets to the point where you can't see the forest anymore. You can't see where the business is going because you're so focused on just getting through the day. And so when I left the organization, I realized that that was really what I wanted to do. I wanted to take time to work with women entrepreneurs who aren't quite sure maybe what's going on wrong in their business. They know something's not quite working, but they're not quite sure what's not working, and they're not quite sure how to get out of that. And so I took the leap. Last September, I left my job and I took the leap into entrepreneurship. And I really want to invite all of you, whether you are in the market for someone to help you kind of walk through that, or if you know someone, or if you just want more information, please go ahead, check out my website. It is www.fasttreecom. That is FASTRICOMHAR.com. Or find me on Facebook and Instagram, where I post a ton of business tips, articles, financing opportunities, all sorts of stuff. So please join me, and I'm so excited that you're here.